Christians, 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 5, dealing with this issue of tongues or languages. Languages that were gifted by God to those who did not learn those languages or were raised speaking those languages. Paul says in verse 5, I wish that you all spoke with tongues. So he also says here by saying, I wish that you all spoke with tongues, he acknowledges that all people don't. And he is not saying that God wants to give everybody the gift of tongues or gift of languages. He is simply saying that I wish that you all spoke with languages because the gospel would be spreading much more rapidly, assuming that your speaking is beneficial. He says, I wish that you all spoke with tongues, but even more so that you prophesied. In other words, that you teach with clarity, that you speak to people who understand what is being said. This is what he is saying. I wish that you all did, but even more so, that you prophesied. For he who prophesies is greater than he who speaks in an unknown language. Paul says, for he who prophesies is greater, not lesser. The preacher in the pulpit speaking to you in a language you understand is greater than all those charismatic churches babbling with nonsensical satanic languages, which really isn't a language at all. Paul says it's better for you to prophesy. And then he goes on, for he who prophesies is greater than he who speaks in unknown languages, unless indeed he interprets, that the church may receive edification. I have never seen a church in America anywhere. In fact, there isn't a church in America anywhere where people, the congregations, do not need to be spoken in a language that a person did not learn. In other words, there are Spanish-speaking churches, French churches, English churches, but there are no languages, pretty much in languages, there are no languages in America, I should say, where you can't go to a preacher who speaks in your language. Paul says, speak that which people understand and not all that gibberish, which is what it sounds like to someone who has no idea what you're talking about. Paul condemns the practice.